Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kel. Most of you know me as the Mosin Dude here on YouTube. I just wanted to make a video about an upcoming event in Georgia to kind of shed some light on some of the things that are at stake here. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video, so just stick with me. I'm going to try to do it in one take and refer to my notes here on my computer. If you guys find any inconsistencies with what I'm saying and information that's out there, let me know down in the comment section below. I want to give you guys the most correct information I possibly can. But with that being said, let's get into the video. So Georgia is having a runoff for both the Senate seats for U.S. Congress. The two races are going to be, and I'm sorry if I butcher these names, but the incumbent is for one of the seats is Perdue versus Ossoff, and the other seat incumbent is Loeffler versus Warnock. And really, what's at stake with these two runoffs is the Senate majority, which is now held by Republicans. Both of these two that are incumbents in Georgia are pro-2A, and that's the main thing that's at stake here is the Second Amendment. I don't mean to strike fear or anything like that with this video. I mainly want to use it to inform the upcoming events. So like I said, the Second Amendment is truly at stake here. The Republicans currently hold 50 seats, 48 Dems, and 2 independent seats in the Senate. To retain majority, they only need to hold one more seat of this runoff, so the Republicans, that is. If they lose both seats, the Senate will be split 50-50, and the deciding factor or the tiebreaker will fall to the President-elect Kamala Harris. Now, she's not in yet, so this may be outdated information, but if that is the case and she is elected with Joe Biden, she will be the deciding factor. Now, she supports a lot of Joe Biden's gun control policies, and I'll explain some of those now. If you haven't seen those, I advise you to go to Joe Biden's website, check out his gun control policies, guys. They are absolutely absurd. One of the things is he wants to ban online sale of guns, ammo, and parts. In my opinion, this is completely ridiculous because if you don't know, you can't buy a gun and ship it directly to your house. That firearm has to be shipped to a licensed dealer, and then you go through a NICS background check just to make sure you don't have a criminal record or anything like that. So I think that is completely bogus to try to ban that. But continuing on, he also wants to incorporate a two-path system, if you will. One, you could either do a mandatory buyback, so the government buys your guns back for pennies on the dollar of something they never owned. So I don't know why they call it a buyback, but basically this is mandatory confiscation if you don't go the other path, which is paying a $200 tax stamp per every semi-automatic and magazine you have that is over 10 rounds. Now I have some props here that I'll explain that with. These are all safety checked, but I'll go through anyways. $200 for this semi-automatic pistol, $200 for this 19-round magazine. $200 for this 30-round magazine, $200 for this AK-47. Now this is semi-automatic, unfortunately, but with that being said, that's another $400. $200 for this 30-round magazine, $200 for this rifle. Altogether, that's $1,200. Now, I have countless number of these at home. I'm not going to get into specifics on what all I own because I don't want, necessarily everyone knowing what I have. But with that being said, I would pay in taxes myself alone with the firearms I own, not only here but back home in Georgia, somewhere to the tune of $10,000 in taxes alone to keep my right that has already been given to me by the Constitution. You tell me how much sense that makes to you guys. But I digress, and we'll continue to go on. So again, a mandatory confiscation. They're not going to call it that. They're going to call it a buyback, but essentially it's a confiscation. If you don't pay the $200 tax stamp, you must forfeit your guns to the government. Now this AR-15, like I said, pennies on the dollar. I have $2,300 in this rifle alone. If you watch my video on this 13.7 build, you can go through and see all the parts that I used. But this rifle alone, I believe the number they give you per firearm is $100. So if you build a gun for less than $100, more power to you. But I am getting royally screwed on this gun right here if I were to have to, participate in their buyback program or confiscation, if you will. They have no right to pay me for my rights as a citizen. The left wants to run a monopoly on the power in this country, and they can't do that with an armed populace. That threatens their whole plan. If you don't believe this, listen to Beto O'Rourke. He said it, that they plan to take all of our guns, AR-15s, AK-47s. He started with those weapons of war. Guys, once they get their foot in the door, they're coming for everything. Semi-automatics, bolt actions, single shots. They do not care. They do not want the American population to have firearms. Beto O'Rourke openly said this. He was the stupid one of the group who wanted to open his mouth and say what they were all thinking. So if you don't believe that, guys, I don't know what to tell you. The Second Amendment wasn't created for deer hunting. It was created as a check and balance for we as a people against a tyrannical government. And when they overstep their bounds and start encroaching on our freedoms as U.S. citizens. The quote that comes to mind is, those who don't know history are bound to repeat it. If you look at the Soviet Union, China, Cuba, all of those are examples of where the civilian populace was disarmed by their government. And even Nazi Germany, if you want to bring in that example. The civilian populace was disarmed, and that basically gave the government free reign to do whatever they want, because the people couldn't stand up for themselves. You can protest all you want and all this, but in the end, violence is more than likely going to have to be the answer when they continue to overstep boundaries that are set in place. Continuing on, you might say that these aren't really valid examples because those are in the past. Nazi Germany was over 75 years ago, all that stuff. I would point you in the direction of Venezuela and Cuba. Those are communist regimes right now who have disarmed their population, and they basically have free reign of their people. There's so much corruption in those countries that it's unreal, and people are just being trampled on down there as far as their rights goes and stuff like that. They're basically, like I said, they're at the will of their government. So whatever they choose to do to their people, they can do it because there's no one stopping them, basically. I was talking to a close friend and a subscriber of this channel, and I'll leave his name aside. I don't want to, get into his personal information. But he quoted, or I quote him, as we were talking about censorship. We have seen mass censorship between Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms. As far as people who don't agree with one side or the other, they just get completely either demonetized, they get wiped out, and their stuff just is destroyed by the algorithm. They won't even be able to be seen, their content. With that being said, I quote him, and he said, "They've taken our soapbox, they've corrupted our ballot box, all that's left is the ammo box." Now, let me just say, I don't advocate this violence. I don't think that's the answer, not yet anyways. I don't think that that's the route that we should pursue. I think we need to try to do this in the most civilized way possible. I'm just saying that is a potential possibility that a lot of Americans would step up to the plate to fight from both sides of the aisle. So that's just something that I thought was a pretty applicable quote. Again, and I'll say it, they've taken our soapbox, they've corrupted our ballot box, all that's left is the ammo box. So just let that resonate with you. Like I said, we don't want that in this country because we have been so blessed to not have to see civil war and massive scales of corruption like we're seeing recently. Most of that has been outside of our country, at least for the past 2 centuries, almost, since we had the American Civil War. Again, I'm not advocating this violence, but I'm just saying that is something that many Americans would possibly do. With that being said, guys, I just want to implore you to go out and do your due diligence, do your research, and vote for who you believe is right, who is standing in the right side of the aisle on this. I'm not saying vote right, vote left. Guys, I don't care who you vote for. I just want you to be informed when you vote. Know who you're voting for and what you're voting for. Even if you aren't a gun owner, it is still your right to own guns just as much as it is mine, even if you don't choose to exercise that right. So just take that into account. For my Georgia folks, early voting starts December 14th and goes all the way till January 5th. You can request absentee ballots now if you so please, if you're military or you just don't want to go to the election box. More power to you. You can get absentee ballots now. Just request those. Guys, register to vote. Get out there. Voting is how we change. I know there's a lot of discouraged people with the election process right now, and I totally understand that. But it's not over, and the fight is not done yet. Again, I just wanted to bring light to this situation, and I really appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. Please share this with your friends, family, and other Georgia voters, and even people who don't live in Georgia, to bring awareness to the situation. With that being said, guys, if you have any questions or comments, drop those down below. I'll answer every single one that I can. I don't suspect there'll be too many, but if I made anything unclear, just comment down below and I'll answer those questions to the best of my ability. Guys, always remember where you came from and to stay humble. It's Mosin Dude. We'll see you on the next video. Peace out.